That was inspiring, first of all, and quite revealing. Today we are making something very, very special with a very, very, very special guest, Chef Mokgadi Tsweng, who is joining us on the show to show us how to make a Bambara nut curry. And we saw how important the Bambara nut is for our food safety. It's one of those future 50 foods. If you're not familiar with Bambara nuts, don't worry, I've just tasted one. Chickpea 2.0, much better, much tastier, but very few of us know very little about this. So apart from its being part of the future 50 foods, Chef Mokgadi is here to explain a little bit more about her lifelong relationship with this incredible food, but also why they are awesome and how we can use them in a delicious curry recipe. We've been making some amazing vegetable curries that have opened my eyes. First of all, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Spectacular during that insert. You look even more spectacular now because you have brought me food.
Thanks.
And you're going to be creating something. You've got a very special relationship with the Bambara nut, which to the eye almost looks like a chickpea. It's like a chickpea with a little eye on it, actually. So first of all, it's a nut, yes?
Yes, it's a nut, but it tastes more like a bean. Which is why you can cook with it, you can make it into savories, you can make a bean curry with it. So I grew up eating these. My grandmother was a subsistence farmer, and she grew these and sold them. She grew them, cooked them, and sold them to sustain her and her family. So there's something very personal for me about Bambara nuts. I grew up eating them as a snack.
They are mainstream now.
Yeah, I mean, then we call them ditlo, which is their...
Ditlo?
Yes, which is their native name. So Bambara is I've just discovered that they're called Bambara nuts in English.
I love it. They both sound awesome and exciting, and I would imagine nutritionally, looking at the amount of hype around them, they pack quite a punch. What are some of the nutritional benefits?
They do. I mean, they're packed with potassium, zinc, iron, and fiber. So it's like a perfect food.
Gluten-free.
Yes.
Gluten-free. And I would imagine once you start kind of breaking them down and using them in other dishes, we can start to see them replacing a lot of unhealthy, already expensive, and when I say expensive, I mean the cost implication, the carbon footprint implication, the water implication of a lot of other foods is the stuff we don't often see or hear. Okay, so the most important thing here is that it needs to become a delicious dish. It's great on its own. Having been cooked, I tasted when it's got quite a nice nutty flavor, which elevates it above the chickpea. But what are you making? And let's dive right in.
So I'm making a curry using the nuts. So I grew up on curries. My one grandmother was a cook, and she cooked a lot of, she was from Durban, so she cooked a lot of Indian curries. And for me, the Bambara nut is, like I said, a perfect example of how you can use beans to just extend your food and just to add spice and flavor to plant-based foods.
And extend your money.
And extend your money.
I think that's a big one. And I would imagine, looking at the kind of neutral palette, that it's going to be a great sounding board for great flavors. Okay, so dive right in.
To start, obviously, with my oil. So I use coconut oil because I just find that my body absorbs it better. And what I do then is that I start with cooking my spices. The reason for this is you want your spices to release their flavor.
Completely.
And this is the best way to get that to happen.
Activate them.
Yes. So you don't want, there's nothing worse than a curry where you can still taste the curry powder and it's just heavy.
The garam masala must have infused.
Exactly. It must infuse, and also I add my curry leaves. Curry leaves will impart that flavor also. And once that starts cooking, then I add my onions.
I love it. I love the fact you can hear the curry leaves popping the second you put them in there. That's awesome.
My onions, garlic, and ginger. So this basically, when you're making a curry, you want to start with your flavor pot. So you want to get all your flavors in, get it all together. And then only add whatever meat or
and this also ensures that the smell of the curry is going to permeate the house for the maximum duration of time. Very nice.
Exactly. So you cook this down for a little bit and then you add your tomatoes. So here what I've done is I've just added 3 grated tomatoes.
So very finely chopped.
Very finely chopped or grated.
Love that.
So as you can see, the tomatoes kind of like add that moisture to the spices and you just cook it down.
Oh man, it's just the layers. It's so funny. Within the last like 30 seconds, I've got the layer of flavor profiles from each stage kind of merging just in my olfactory senses.
So with the curries, it's always layered flavors. You know, you don't want to rush anything. There's nothing more warming and loving like a smell of a good curry and the taste of it. So you just let everything cook down. You mustn't be in a hurry when you're making a curry. But this one is a quick one because already our Bambara nuts, we've cooked them, we've pre-soaked them. My trick with the Bambara nuts is to pre-soak them overnight. That way when you cook them, it takes less to cook.
Cool.
And what I also do is I add a tablespoon of bicarbonate soda. And what that does is that it takes away that, you know, when you eat beans, you always get flatulent. And,
that is a hack. That's a life hack right there, not just for this particular dish.
You soak them overnight. I promise you won't get any flatulence.
A lot of people are like, thank you, Lord. Okay, so we've got about 40 seconds to wrap up the menu. So the keyword here is Knorr. If you would like to get this recipe sent to you, Knorr to 33728. Now we introduce.
Now we add our potatoes. And
these, can you par-cook the potatoes? Do you
want
them to cook in the curry?
You want them to cook in the curry, and normally I'd cut them smaller. I mean, there's nothing is more delicious than a potato in a curry.
It's gonna absorb, suck in all of those flavors.
And then you add your nuts.
And you can, I mean, maybe play around with the dimensions that work for you. But, you can see immediately how the flavors are coating. The color of a curry is also, I think, very much what activates our metabolism when you... the juices in the mouth start flowing. What is this?
This is the leftover water from the Bambara nuts when we cook them, when we pre-cook them. So you don't throw anything out. Food waste is a real problem in our kitchen. So you try and use everything.
Again, that's continuity right the way through.
Exactly.
And I suppose whenever you're soaking or cooking something in water, you are drawing some of those nutrients out as well. So
and this will add another layer, like depth of flavor to your curry. So you're not throwing anything away. And then again, we're going to use our stock, our Knorr vegetable stock. They're so awesome because they're like stock. As you know, it's not a powder. It's not a they just work so well.
I love that.
In this curry.
Stir in some real taste, I think, with the Knorr vegetable stock pots, and it's not a powdered derivative. No. This is a real beautiful stock that's been handcrafted, gluten-free as well, which I was amazed to find out about. Delicious mixture of ingredients simply melts into the cooking, bringing an irresistible depth of flavor. And we've heard about the layering of flavors, how important that is here, especially if you're pushing a vegetarian, a vegan, even a meat dish.
Even a meat dish,
you need that layering. But this is opening my eyes to the whole world of pleasurable comfort cooking that's available.
And the nice thing with the stock pots is that you don't need salt because they've got all that flavor in there. So you use little salt. And also, again, with our health, you want to try and cut down on your salt intake. So
that's amazing. Then you leave it to cook until...
You leave it to cook, and then just before you do, before you serve it, maybe 10 minutes before, you add your spinach. Spinach is also one of the top 50, future 50, foods. So we're going to add our spinach in there.
I love this, how quickly this has all come together. The flavor profile is amazing. There's something very comforting about it, and it's absolutely popping with the eye now as well. Chef, thank you so much. This is absolute genius at work. Don't you dare stop. We've got a hungry crew now. The cameras have been moving closer and closer. If you're tired of eating the same old thing every day, then the Knorr Future 50 Foods list might just tickle your fancy, and you are going to be saving the planet along the way. You'll also find loads of unbelievable recipe inspiration. They'll be good for you, good for the planet as well, and awesome for your family. To get your hands on the Bambara nut curry, SMS the keyword Knorr to 33728. Can I just hug you on behalf of the entire planet and all families and all mamas out there that are wanting to provide a delicious dish that's not going to break the bank. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm going to have a little taste of our dundee here.